time there was truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey there, Jordan Sheridan live from New York City, Monday, September 9th, 2019. Hope everyone is having a lovely, lovely day. This is the status coup. And boy, is it beginning to think we need a coup d'etat of the status quo more than ever. Let me know if you could hear me. Let me know if you could see me. I was playing around with some things before I went live, so I want to make sure the audio is good. Maddie Perry, Jordan, what's up, bro? I just can't vote for Warren. Hope she doesn't get the nomination. We're going to get into Elizabeth Warren because I got to tell you the truth, folks. When, I'm attacked or Jimmy Dore or some of these progressives are attacked for, enough of your purity tests. We have to defeat Donald Trump. Eat your broccoli. Well, does anyone maybe consider the reason we're speaking out now against some of the things we're seeing with Elizabeth Warren is if she continues down the road that she so clearly is continuing down, she's not going to defeat Donald Trump? I was live on Sunday yesterday. Over 1,000 of you were watching at one point. I think we had 10,000 views in total for my Sunday marathon. So thank you for joining me yesterday. I will not be live this Sunday. Because it's my mother's 60th birthday, so I won't be live this Sunday, but I will, I'm live every Sunday. And yesterday we went through this insanity of Elizabeth Warren playing footsie now with Hillary Clinton, which, if you didn't see the live stream yesterday, I posted a shorter video from that. You got Elizabeth Warren, the New York Times is reporting that she's playing footsie with the Democratic establishment, having hot tea with the Democratic establishment. Then it's reported that she is having private communications with Hillary Clinton. Now it's being reported, and by the way, I missed this story. This was out there in the past. I just missed it. Sometimes you just got to admit when you're wrong. I missed this. That Elizabeth Warren, not only did she transfer $10 million from her Senate campaign into her presidential campaign, but a lot of that money was simply from high-dollar fundraisers. So we're going to get into all of that in a little bit, don't you worry. And, there are some in independent media, just saying, that seem to be giving Elizabeth Warren the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to. Sorry. I don't care what a candidate says. I care about their record. I care about their patterns. And I care about whether I could trust them. And Elizabeth Warren, the more I see it, I'm starting to have some doubts about whether I could trust Elizabeth Warren. It's starting to reek a little bit of what we got with Barack Obama in 2007 and 2008. I'll part the seas. We'll just totally lift the world to new heights. We're gonna have a post-partisan utopia. And then when he became president, he littered the place with ex-Goldman Sachs bankers, didn't jail one banker, gave us a Republican healthcare plan, kept the wars going. This is what it's beginning to seem like with Elizabeth Warren. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. Remember, folks, you got a checklist. I need you to do some work here. I need 150 of you watching right now. Each person, press the like button. We are being suppressed, unfortunately, on YouTube, or as I like to call it, FewTube. So every single person, the more people that press that like button, the more people that will see the live stream. It's the thumbs up button right under the video. So if you can, real quickly, particularly if you're watching on your phone, if you're on your phone and you're in the live chat, just temporarily X out of that live chat and then press that thumbs up button. Even if you don't like me, pretend just for an hour. Press the like button. That's how we're going to get this up to more and more viewers. Consider becoming a Status Coup member. We're at 700 members. 700 paying monthly / annual members. And our goal for the end of this year, so we got 4 more months to go, is to get that number up to that 1,000 mark. If we get that number up to that 1,000 mark, we are going to have a way, way, way easier time covering the rest of this campaign. Because honestly, that's what it's all about. The way for an independent, truly independent media network to grow and not have to ever take meetings or be begging for money behind closed doors from corporate power, plutocrats, Democratic Party donors, Republican Party donors, is to just have the money coming in every month from your viewers. So that's what we're trying. That's how we're trying to grow. It's remarkable. We've hit that 700 mark in less than a year. We've grown to 700 paying members in less than a year, and that goes with our 300 and something patrons. So overall, we have over 1,000 when you combine our members through the website with our patrons. But right now we're focused on getting our website members up. So it's statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. It makes a big difference. And for members and patrons, go check out, I uploaded a video just for the members with an update, a positive update on our documentary, Flushing Flint. Remember, we did a documentary. Ty produced that and directed it. He's not with us anymore. He's working on some other projects right now, but we're all still family, so Ty's still part of the Status Coup family, even though he's not with us. But the documentary he made, we have news on that front that is positive, and members, statuscoup.com/join, I did a video just for you to give you that update. So, also, follow us at Status Coup. I think we're like 800 followers on the Twitter from reaching 10,000. So, at Status Coup. Subscribe to our podcast. That's Status Coup Podcast. Rate us 5 stars. Leave a review. The podcast is simply the live stream made into an audio version. Also, interviews I do made into audio. And go to statuscoup.com. Join our email list. And if you want some swag in these final days of summer, the beginning of fall, I don't know if you know this. I'm not sure if you're aware. We do have a merchandise store, folks. I haven't figured, some channels are able to put the merchandise right under the YouTube video. I guess we haven't reached the level where you're able to do that. So you could go to statuscoup.com, click on store at the top, and it will bring you to our store where you could get all of your Status Coup goodies for not so much money. Status Coup tee, tote bag, shirt, pillow, whatever you want. It's there. I'll put it right in the super chat. This is a super chat if you want to get some Status Coup gear. And for those of you already complaining, Jordan, stop asking for money, do me a favor. Take a hike, okay? Would you rather me be begging plutocrats behind closed doors to grow this, or would you rather be asking you? I personally would rather be asking you. So, I digress. And the last thing I'll say, we raised about $700 on GoFundMe yesterday during the live stream, our marathon live stream. I was live for 5 hours yesterday. So would love to get that. We're $246 away. That's $246 away from hitting $700. So if there's some people wanting to help us get to that 70,000 today, there's the GoFundMe link. Jen is not here today. She's sick, so she's not here. So I'll be reporting to you and putting the links in the live chat. So bear with me because I'm doing both things today. Thank you, Stephen Lindsay Satterfield. Love it. $2 in the super chat. Jonathan, Ty left. I thought he moved to New York to focus more on Status Coup. Yes. Well, I announced this like weeks ago, but yet Ty, he's not here anymore full time, but he's still like living in my apartment. We're still friends, everything. He's just working on other projects, things like that. Couldn't really do full time anymore. So, nothing else to report. But he's also been helping me a little bit while, with the tech stuff while we are interviewing for a replacement. So that's it. Don't worry about it, Jordan. I'm a cheapskate who thinks you ask for money better than anyone on YouTube. Why, thank you, Jay Stone. Appreciate it. All cheapstakes, welcome. And remember, we got 200 people watching. 128 of you have pressed that like button. Smash the like button, smash the like button, smash the like button. So, Elizabeth Warren. And you know what, folks? I try to be fair. I try not to be extreme. In my coverage or reporting. I try not to be one of these, like, if you don't agree with every single thing I say, if you don't fill every single box that I want filled, then you're a sellout. I try not to be that way, right? I try to cover people fairly. But Elizabeth Warren, it's like this drip, 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 drip. Every week, she's revealing who she really is more and more, to the point, do I think she's as bad as Joe Biden? No, I don't. I got to be reasonable. She's not as bad as Joe Biden. Do I think she's as bad as Hillary Clinton, who she's apparently playing, calling and text messaging and communicating with? No, I don't. I don't think she's that bad. Hillary Clinton never proposed things like a wealth tax or regulating the banks tighter, this and that. But do I think she's as bad as Kamala Harris? No. The problem with Elizabeth Warren is, as we've learned throughout this United Corporations of America, and remember, this is the United Corporations of America. We don't live in a country. We live in a oligarchy. We live in a corporation. We don't live in a country. We live in a corporation. Woo! Thank you, Robert. $50 in the GoFundMe. Robert Asher getting us started today. We are now $194 away from hitting that $70,000. Thank you, Robert. Drop the link one more time. If whatever you want, you could also leave super chat, whatever you prefer. Just so you know, super chat, YouTube, in addition to being censoring us, suppressing us, all these things, they also take 30% of our super chats. So thank you. I don't call it YouTube anymore. I call it FewTube. That's who YouTube is for. The few corporate outlets that they consistently flood your channels with. You ever notice how you get CNN and MSNBC and all these corporate channels in your feed, but Status Coup or Jimmy Dore, you never even know when we're live? That's why. Yeah, okay, buddy. Status Coup. What journalist outlets did you work with before you went independent? I was at the Young Turks before this. I was at a website called The Wrap. I was at a website called Media Bistro. I was at MSNBC. And for a very dark time in my life, I was at Fox News. Maybe we'll do a little biographical live stream if you don't know my background. So, this Elizabeth Warren thing, we already know the past. I don't need to get into the past. She was missing in action in 2016. She 100% should have endorsed Bernie Sanders. It actually could have made a difference in the Massachusetts primary. She didn't because she was playing political games. We know that. She was completely missing in action at Standing Rock, which frankly, when she's apologizing to Native Americans for whatever you want to call it, I'm not Native American, so I don't want to dismiss. I don't cover the Native American DNA thing that much because I think there's worse things about her to point out. But she should be apologizing to Native Americans, not just for this like cultural appropriation business, but for not doing anything. For not doing anything when Native Americans and environmental activists were getting their heads shot at, getting rubber bullets sprayed all over them, getting freezing water sprayed on them, tear gas, pepper spray, grenades. A 21-year-old almost lost her arm from a grenade shot. Nothing. Okay, we know about that. Then, she's interviewed by my former boss, Cenk. Why didn't you endorse Bernie? I'm looking forward. Frankly, I mean, if it were me, I wouldn't let her get away with that business. I don't really think Cenk challenged her that much. And that was it. She's never really explained herself why she didn't endorse Bernie. But all you got to do is look at WikiLeaks. They were WikiLeaks emails. You're a Russian. If you dare point out WikiLeaks emails, the crime of just reporting accurate facts and emails. She obviously was making... her team had meetings with Hillary Clinton's team as early as 2015. I went through I went through some of this history yesterday during our live chat, our broadcast on Sunday. So she obviously was angling as early as 2015, thinking Hillary Clinton's going to win. I'm positioning myself to possibly be in her cabinet. It's been reported that Elizabeth Warren was one of the finalists being considered for Hillary Clinton to be Hillary's vice president. Elizabeth Warren said she would have accepted it if she was. So there's a long history here of Elizabeth Warren, not exactly like to the T being a progressive warrior, playing more political calculations than this is what I believe, this is who I am, I'm not going to compromise who I am, and that I'm going to do what I think is right. She has, for a long time, been more of the political calculator. Now, when I was at the Young Turks, for example, my former colleague Emma, we had a debate about Elizabeth Warren, and I'm not like knocking her, but she was more okay with that. She and some people with that mindset are more from the mentality of, breaking news, a politician plays politics. Let's put her in the guillotine. No, I think there's a difference between a politician playing politics when they're elected, when a politician having to compromise after they're elected, and a politician, basically kind of making little sell-offs and trade-offs of their integrity to get elected. Because I don't know many instances. Thank you, Dabby J, $2 in the super chat. Higher you climb, go Bernie 2020. Thank you. I don't know many politicians that where if they start making trade-offs before they're elected, during the campaign, I don't know many politicians that don't actually have to then pay those people back that they made the trade-offs with to get elected. There's not many times, it's not like, this is not how Washington works, where you start, Elizabeth Warren, for example, is having meetings over hot tea with leaders of the Democratic Party establishment. Elizabeth Warren having phone calls or text messaging, however she's communicating with Hillary Clinton, and then you get elected and politicians just say like, oh, I was just kidding. I'm going to go put a wealth tax and I'm going to regulate the banks and I'm going to, take all the subsidies away. That's not how it happens. People like Hillary Clinton don't talk to you and you get away with like getting their support and then you don't have to pay them back later. The Democratic Party establishment, Elizabeth Warren isn't having hot tea with these people, trying to get their endorsements and probably twisting herself into a human pretzel to get that endorsement. And then if she gets the nomination and if she gets elected, is then going to be like, you punked, I was just punking you, I'm a burner, I'm progressive, go screw yourself. That just doesn't happen. That's why Bernie Sanders, a lot of you didn't like it, frankly. A lot of you didn't like it, but that's why Bernie Sanders has threaded the needle a little bit, but not financially. Bernie Sanders has threaded the needle a little bit. So the difference is Elizabeth Warren is having hot tea with Democratic Party leaders. She's communicating with Hillary Clinton. She said, I'm a capitalist to my bones. She's basically, in a wink and a nod, signaling, I'll play ball. I'll play ball with you. Yeah, you're going to have to accept a little bit more change than you're comfortable, but I'm not here for the revolution. I'm not going to burn down the village. You could still have your consultant fees. You could still take money from your donors, and you could still have your first-class seats on the Titanic. Bernie Sanders' idea of compromise, fine. I'll go do a tour with Tom Perez. Fine, I'll slap Chuck Schumer's name onto a bill. That's my bill. Just to have some form of working relationship with them. But he's not doing fundraisers with Democratic Party leaders. I can assure you, he's not going around the country having hot tea with Democratic Party leaders. He's going around the country picketing and striking with workers. He's going around the country, going to Walmart shareholders meeting and standing up for Walmart workers. No wonder the last quarter, that would be April, May, and June, the most prevalent employee that donated to Bernie Sanders, Walmart workers. So I bring all this up, and remember, we got 325 people watching right now. We have 174 have pressed the like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the video. If every single person could real quick press that thumbs up button, every single person, the more people that press that like button, the more people that will see the live stream. So keep it coming if you can. So the point is, and thank you. We just got another donation, $25 from Stephen Satterfield. So we are now just 100 and I'm bad at math, but I believe that's $169 away. $169 away from hitting that $70,000. And I got some news on where we want to go next in the field. We are raising money in this GoFundMe to get back in the field. So I'll tell you about that a little bit later. So I set this all up about Warren because in the last week or so, we've had a story coming out that she's basically, actively sending text messages and phone calls and having meetings with a who's who of the Democratic Party establishment. Strike one. Now it's coming out, as I reported yesterday, she's privately speaking with Hillary Clinton. Now, should Elizabeth Warren go to the guillotine because she's speaking with Hillary Clinton? No. But there's only two options for why you would be speaking with Hillary Clinton. One option is you think she could give you advice that would help you win the nomination or win the presidency. If Elizabeth Warren thinks that Hillary Clinton could give her advice that would be helpful, I question Elizabeth Warren's intelligence politically. She's obviously a very intelligent woman, but if you actually are talking to Hillary Clinton for advice, you need to get your head examined. Hillary Clinton lost to a reality TV star, used car salesman, orange orangutan. So option one is gone. She's not talking to Hillary Clinton for advice. So option two is you're talking to Hillary Clinton because A, you want her endorsement, because then you could get all those Hillbots. I say Hillbots lovingly. All the Hillary people in your corner. Hillary Clinton, she lost, but she did win the popular vote. So she would want those votes if you're Elizabeth Warren. Thank you, Debbie J. $2 in the super chat. There, I got it. This would have went to Bernie. Thank you. Anyesha Battle, $5 in the super chat. What would you have done via Warren coverage if you were still at TYT after the 20 million? You'd be ripping her based on a TYT clip, LOL, or would you just not cover? Honestly, I can't speak. I'm not at TYT anymore, so I can't speak to it. When I was at TYT, I was not asked. I was not ever. Well, I was not by Cenk. I was never asked, or nothing was ever said to me by Cenk to tone down my criticism of any candidate or anything like that. But again, they got that investment. I think they got that investment August or September of 2017, and I was fired 2 months after. So I don't know if anything's changed since then as far as what you can and cannot say because I'm not there. But if I was told that I can't cover Elizabeth Warren the exact way that I'm covering it now, I would quit. I mean, that's just straight up. It's not fun to quit a job, but I wouldn't stay somewhere that, as long as I have the facts right, the point of going, at the time, the point for me of going somewhere like the Young Turks would have been to be myself, to be liberated, to cover things the way they should be covered. So if I was being told to tone it down, I would quit. So if that answers your question. But again, I'm not, life's too short. My existence isn't, I don't try to just bash TYT. I know people there still and wish them well. It's not my cup of tea anymore, and it wasn't really my cup of tea towards the end of when I was there. I think they are way, way too less critical than they should be of folks like Warren. I think they've been super, super critical and at points unfair towards someone like Tulsi. But I would quit. So if that answers it. Vinay, $5. Bernie from Indiana, keep it up. Thanks for the super chat. Nate Dog, $2. Jordan, you rock. Tulsi Bernie 2020. Thank you. I slightly disagree. I'm more of a Bernie Nina kind of guy, but I wouldn't object, obviously, if Bernie picked Tulsi Gabbard. So let me get back to this. So we have the news about Elizabeth Warren having hot tea with the who's who of the Democratic Party establishment. Elizabeth Warren playing footsie with Hillary Clinton, which this is my very complaint about all politicians, so I'm not being unfair to Elizabeth Warren. How can you, in one breath, be going around the country talking about the inherent corruption of Washington, D.C., how the lobbyists run D.C., how the donors have hijacked our democracy, like while after your speech, text message, I don't know if it's phone calls or text messages, but then like playing footsie with Hillary Clinton, who is a personification of that. And by the way, it's not just Hillary Clinton. It's Joe Biden, it's Barack Obama, it's Rahm Emanuel, who I have words for today. So like, it's just fraudulent. You cannot mean what you say if you are going out all across the country doing town halls and bemoaning corruption and then playing footsie with the corrupt. It's not like Hillary Clinton, after she lost, had a mea culpa. It's not like Hillary Clinton, after she lost, was like, you know what? The Democratic Party, we need to stop taking this money from Wall Street, and we need to make up and grovel back to the working class. The labor unions, the worker bees, the people who shower after work. And you know what? My error, and my husband and me and a lot of Democrats like us, our message and our ideas have not worked for the majority of the working people in this country. And for that, we need to move more. She doesn't even have to mention Bernie Sanders if she doesn't want to give Bernie the victory. We need to move. We need to move more over to the progressive side. No, who has she been blaming? Russia and James Comey and the mailman and anybody but herself and her policies. And for those writing in the chat, if like Jen is out, she's sick today, so she usually does a super chat. I can't like speak with you and monitor the chat. So if there's people being bad, I apologize. I just don't have anyone to monitor it. So just ignore them if you can. Now it comes out, and by the way, I just got to admit, I kind of missed this story. And when you miss a story, you just got to own up to it. I missed this. I was being told that she transferred money from her Senate account into her campaign. What I missed, though, and just so you know, this is new from the New York Times, basically saying that Elizabeth Warren transferred $10 million, $10.8 million from her Senate campaign into her presidential campaign. Where I think the confusion was, and a lot of that money, the 10.8 million, came from big fundraisers with the very people she is basically calling corrupt and saying she's not going to take their money anymore. Well, she took their money in the Senate during her Senate campaign, and essentially, I don't see a differential. If she took that money as a Senate candidate and transferred it over, and that's how she started her presidential campaign, then it's not true that she hasn't taken money during her presidential campaign from corporations or, corporate CEOs and these very people, because that is the money she has used. $10 million is a pretty good start to have that in the bank as soon as you launch. That's why she was able to staff up so much. She staffed up more than anyone else, any other candidate in Iowa. She staffed up because she had $10 million from her Senate campaign. Where I think I missed this story, I was under the impression that the $10 million that she transferred was from a super PAC she had as a senator, because she did have a super PAC for her re-election campaign in 2018. That's what I thought it was. I didn't think it was her campaign committee. I thought it was super PAC money that was being transferred over. And when I looked at no. I didn't think that you can't transfer super PAC money into your campaign committee. What I thought is the issue and the criticism of Elizabeth Warren is she had a super PAC in her 2018 re-election in Massachusetts, and I looked at that and only saw, here is her super PAC. The majority of it was from labor, $159,000. Finance which is Wall Street, financial lawyers, was only $2,500. So that's what I was looking at when I was told, oh, she has a super PAC. When I looked at her campaign committee, they have financial information for campaign committees, but it doesn't give you any information on like what fundraiser she held, who hosted the fundraisers, that kind of stuff you have to dig for. There wasn't much information out there until now about the fundraiser she was having to get that $10 million. So if you haven't read this is from the New York Times. I'll put it in the super chat here for you. Dabby J, stoner finally wised up. I'm not a stoner, but thank you. And remember, we got almost 400 people watching. We have 263 of you have pressed that like button. Smash the like button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see the live stream. It's the thumbs up button right under the video. It's very easy. Just press that thumbs up button. So, here we go. On the highest floor of the tallest building in Boston, Senator Elizabeth Warren was busy collecting big checks from some of the city's politically connected insiders. It was April 2018, and Miss Warren, up for re-election, was at a breakfast fundraiser hosted for her by John M. Connors, one of the old guard power brokers of Massachusetts. Soon after, Miss Warren was in Manhattan doing the same thing. There were then trips to Hollywood and Silicon Valley, Martha's Vineyard, and Philadelphia, all with fundraisers on the agenda. She collected campaign funds at the private home of at least one California megadonor and was hosted by another in Florida. She held finance events until 2 weeks after her all but assured re-election in November. Then, early this year, Miss Warren made a bold bet that would delight the left. She announced she was quitting this big money circuit in the 2020 presidential primary, vowing not to attend private fundraisers or dial up rich donors anymore. Admirers and activists praised her stand, but few noted the fact that she built a financial cushion by pocketing big checks the year before. The open secret of Miss Warren's campaign is that her big money fundraising through 2018 helped lay the foundation for her anti-big money run for the presidency. Last winter and spring, she transferred $10.4 million in leftover funds from her 2018 Senate campaign to underwrite her 2020 run, a portion of which was raised from the same donor class she's now running against. As Warren has risen in the polls on her populist and anti-corruption message, some donors and privately opponents are chafing at her campaign's purity claims of being, quote, 100% grassroots funded. Several donors now hosting events for her rivals organized fundraisers for her last year. Quote, "Can you spell hypocrite?" said former Governor Ed Rendell of Pennsylvania, by the way, one of the most corrupt corporate Democratic Party stooges out there, who contributed $4,000 to Warren in 2018 and is now supporting Biden. Rendell said he had recruited donors to attend an intimate fundraising dinner for Miss Warren last year at Barclay Prime, a Philadelphia steakhouse where the famed cheese steak goes for $120, under $20 for a cheesesteak. He said he received a glowing thank you letter from Miss Warren afterward. But when Mr. Rendell co-hosted Mr. Biden's first fundraiser this spring, Miss Warren's campaign sent brickbats deriding the affair as a, quote, swanky private fundraiser for wealthy donors, the likes of which she now shuns. Quote, "She didn't have any trouble taking our money the year before," Mr. Rendell said. "All of a sudden, we were bad guys and power brokers and influence peddlers in 2018. In 2018, we were wonderful." Supporters of Miss Warren say her presidential campaign should not be criticized for trying to lessen the influence of big donors now, even if she wooed and benefited from them previously. Quote, "There's a perverse incentive system for public officials," said Adam Green, co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, which has endorsed Miss Warren. "If candidates continue the big money status quo," he said, "you don't get called a hypocrite. But if you stick your neck out, take chances, challenge power, and try to change the system step by step, you get criticized for not taking every step possible all at once." So, Adam, who I know, I don't know him that well, but I know him. I've met him. I've interviewed him before. The Progressive Change Campaign Coalition was trying to get, they were behind the campaign to get Elizabeth Warren to run for president in 2016. She obviously didn't run. I don't know Adam that well. I like him from my interactions with him. But to keep it real, and I would tell him this to his face, kind of full of shit on this one. So, this stuff about, I just canceled the story. But this stuff about, being brave and sticking your neck out, yeah, she was sticking her neck out at high-dollar fundraisers in Silicon Valley, in Martha's Vineyard, in New York, in California. That's where she was sticking her neck out. And frankly, I'm sorry, it's just not accurate now. It's not accurate to say she hasn't taken big money in her presidential campaign. The money that was transferred over, $10 million, Bernie transferred money over from his Senate campaign. The only difference is that money came from small dollar donations that he raised for his Senate campaign. He was never doing lavish fundraisers at steakhouses for $120 for a cheesesteak, which is a damn good cheesesteak, but do you have $120 for anything right now, much less a cheesesteak? Esteviel Garcia, $2. My support for Bernie is just getting stronger. Thanks for the super chat. Reeve Baker, $2. Did you see Tulsi on the Rubin show? Thoughts? Dave Rubin? My thoughts are Dave Rubin is trash, and she shouldn't have gone on with him, personally. 437 viewers, 317 likes. Press that like button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see the live stream. It's the thumbs up button right under the video. So, honestly, you know, the problem with politics is politicians make mini rationalizations with themselves. They make mini rationalizations with themselves all the time. And every rationalization they make with themselves, and they're told by the consultants around them and the advisors, hey, you know, on this one, we got to give a little bit because for the greater good, we're going to get X. And then, and that just becomes the norm. And the X that they're going to get is always some bipartisan deal that gives crumbs to the proletariat and gives nice cheesesteak to the wealthy. So Elizabeth Warren, you know, honestly, when you're raising that much money, Elizabeth Warren knew when she was running for re-election for Senate that she was immediately going to run for president. She announced earlier than anyone. She won re-election in November 2018. She announced she was running for president, I believe, at the end of December 2018. Literally a month after she won re-election. So raising that money, she wasn't raising that money with her Senate re-election in mind. She was raising that money with her presidential campaign in mind. Okay, so if you want to play devil's advocate, and as a reminder, folks, I hate to remind you, when we're talking about raising money, I'm doing it the right way, not the Warren way. Support status quo. I'm putting the GoFundMe link in the super chat. We are so close. Oh my God, I could feel it. So close to that 70,000 mark. Just 160. Is that $169? Yeah, $169 away from hitting 70,000. Can we do it while we're live today? Say it with me, folks. Let's do it. The minimum is $5. So if every person watched, if even I think like 1/3 of the people watching right now put in $5, we'd reach 70,000 and then some. So here's the thing: Elizabeth Warren has raised money from big corporate donors because she transferred that money over. And by the way, when the media is throwing all this adulation at her, oh, you know, she hasn't had one fundraiser with big dollar donors. She hasn't had one fundraiser with like corporate CEOs or lobbyists. She has the most staff on the ground in Iowa. Well, I don't want to say she cheated to get there, but I will say the reason she was able to front load her staff in Iowa, the reason she had such a large staff right out of the gate, is because she had raised that big dollar money that she then transferred over into her presidential campaign. So in a way, it is a little cheating. Cheating in terms of not like anything illegal, but cheating in the spirit of I'm not taking corporate money and I'm going to raise and I'm going to compete with small dollar money. And I think where Elizabeth Warren, because to me, she is not a progressive in the same way that Bernie Sanders is at all. What she is not understanding is the same thing that Hillary Clinton didn't understand. The same thing that Nancy Pelosi did not understand. The same thing that Chuck Schumer doesn't understand, that CNN, that MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, none of them understand. Money will not buy you elections anymore. On a local level, yes, it plays a big part. On a state level, yes, it plays a big part. Hillary Clinton outspent Donald Trump 2-1. Okay? She lost in pretty big fashion in the Electoral College. You could talk to your blue in the face that, oh, only by 77,000 votes, whatever. It shouldn't have even been close against Donald Trump. He had the highest unfavorables of any presidential candidate in the history of the United Corporations of America. Donald Trump, most unfavorable number of any. She should have spanked him electorally. So when they say, oh, she only lost by 77,000 votes, I don't know. Bernie Sanders wouldn't have lost. He would have crushed him. Honestly, I think Warren would have beat Trump in 2016. So the point is, when Elizabeth Warren is in the beginning of her campaign and she has all this staff in Iowa and she is basically outpacing other campaigns and being able to staff up Iowa, she's doing it because she made this internal, rationalization and deal with herself as running for Senate that I'm going to take this big money. So it's just not genuine and not true that she's ran her campaign fully grassroots. And let me tell you why that's a problem. Some of you and some people who consider themselves progressives would say, Jordan, enough with the extremes. We have to defeat Trump. You can't expect somebody to be perfect. You can't expect someone to not take any money. You have to compete, and you need money to compete. Thank you, Tim Towdyful, $5 in the super chat. Keep up the good work, status coup. Hashtag Bernie 2020. Thank you for the $5 and thanks for the kind words. Listen, here's the bottom line, okay? I'm not naive, and you shouldn't be either. If Bernie Sanders was elected president, he's not going to get every single thing he wants done right away. He might not get every single thing he wants done, period, okay? And he's going to have to compromise in some areas. That's life, okay? We don't have a parliamentary system. I think we should. But, we have a system that even if Bernie got a Democratic House and a Senate, you think Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are just going to welcome him in with cupcakes and tea and say, oh, Bernie, we were with you the whole time. Let's do Medicare for all. Let's do $16 trillion for the Green New Deal. They're going to fight him every step of the way. That's who these people are. So Bernie would have to compromise. But there's a difference between compromising strategically to get wholesale as much change as you can and compromising your integrity right out of the gate. Compromising, if Bernie Sanders had to compromise and, ultimately he could get them to agree to Medicare for all phased in over 5 years or 6 years with, not as many benefits, but still, government health care. Would you take that? I would. If we could have a government system where it is free, maybe, I don't know, dental wouldn't be free or something like that. I'm just throwing out ideas. But I know Bernie Sanders would fight to the deaths to get every single thing he wants and would only compromise when it becomes a political reality that that's what he has to do. The difference between that, which I accept, and what we're seeing from Elizabeth Warren, I don't trust Elizabeth Warren to fight the way Bernie Sanders would fight. I don't trust, at this point, I don't even know if the thing she's saying she's going to do is truly in her heart what she wants to do. I think she's basically, her whole campaign, they should be changing the slogan from I have a plan to have my cake and eat it too. Because you're either on the progressive side where you see the same corrupt Democratic Party leaders that you're having hot tea with right now. If you're Elizabeth Warren, you're either a progressive who sees those people as a major part of the problem and you're not going to play footsie with and you're not going to play, do business with these people. Right now, you're not. Or you kind of like, well, I'm progressive and I want more progressive economic change, but I'll play ball with these people. And, I'm not gonna criticize these people. And I'm not going to criticize these people who are, depriving millions of people of health care. I'm not going to criticize these people that are depriving millions of people of education. I'm not going to criticize these people who are standing by drinking their champagne as the Amazon is on fire and the planet burns. I'm not going to criticize these people who literally have just sold their offices to the highest donor and bidder. That is the problem. And frankly, I'm just going to keep it real. If there are media that claim to be independent, if there are media that claim to be progressive, who are going out there and saying that I, or Jimmy, or people that are basically just telling it like it is, are extreme or unreasonable, I would say you're either willfully ignorant or naive. Because honestly, what Elizabeth Warren is doing, and this have my cake and eat it too, do town halls all over the country and claim to be this fierce anti-corruption warrior and claim to be this I'm going to do a wealth tax and I'm going to soak it to the rich and, we're breaking up Amazon and Google and this and that. How are you going to do these things if you are playing footsie with the very people enabling all of the corruption and participating in all of the corruption? Do you think you just get to meet with people, have hot tea, and you don't have to pay them back favors later if they're going to endorse you, if they're a super delegate or anyone? No. No way. So I think people that are, calling us unreasonable or saying, oh, you're doing the same thing, you're going to get Donald Trump elected. No. Elizabeth Warren is basically trying like a halfway Hillary Clinton strategy to become the nominee and ultimately defeat Donald Trump. I don't think that's a good strategy. I don't think that's a good strategy to win. I really don't. What do you think? Am I being too tough on Elizabeth Warren? Do I have an insane purity test? Because I got news for you folks. If she's going to make little internal deals with herself right now and little rationalizations now, like, oh, you know what? I'll take the money in the general election. Oh, I'll transfer 10 million over into my presidential campaign that I got from big money. I'll get on the phone with Hillary Clinton and get her advice. If she's doing all that now, what do you think she's going to do when she's president? This, to me, reeks of Barack Obama. And, listen, I would say this about anyone. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. But frankly, this reeks of Barack Obama. Hey, I'm sure many of you and me got hoodwinked in 2007. I thought Obama was Mick Jagger, okay? I thought Obama was going to, part the oceans and heal the world. And I didn't know at the time, because I wasn't very politically knowledgeable as I am now, that he was basically littering in the background. He was taking more money than God from Wall Street. And when he became president, he just laced the place with Wall Street bankers. No wonder nobody went to jail. No wonder Dodd-Frank, which was a Band-Aid to a gunshot wound. No wonder he didn't get out of Afghanistan. War is a racket and it makes a lot of money. No wonder he proposed a Republican health care plan instead of a public option or Medicare for all. So, what can I tell you? I'm not impressed, and I'm not going to stop covering Elizabeth Warren critically. Now, to be fair, that doesn't mean I want to be fair, because I think we have to. Everything has some context and nuance. Do I think Elizabeth Warren is the same as Joe Biden? I don't. You might be mad at me for saying that, but I don't. Do I think she's as bad as Kamala Harris? No. Do I think she's as bad as Pete Buttigieg? No. Do I think she's as bad as Hillary Clinton? No. But that's not the standard that we should be voting on. And that's not the standard that we should hold our elected officials or our candidates to. It shouldn't be, are they as bad as this? And by the way, I want to defeat Donald Trump, okay? I'll do just about anything within the law and journalistically that is ethical to defeat Donald Trump. He's dangerous, and it's getting worse and worse every day, every week, every month with this president. But I don't think this is the way to do it. It's not like the anti-establishment fever that spread in 2016 has just gone away. And if Warren became the nominee, do you think these things are not going to come back to bite her in the butt? Do you think she's endearing herself to the hardcore progressives? I know what the polls say. A lot of the polls say Bernie Sanders supporters would vote for Elizabeth Warren. And they might ultimately vote for Elizabeth Warren. But the problem is, it's not only Bernie Sanders supporters you have to concern yourself with if you're Elizabeth Warren. You have to inspire the people that didn't come out in 2016. The 5% less African Americans that didn't come out for Hillary Clinton as compared to Obama in 2012. The 5% less Latinos that didn't come out for Hillary Clinton that came out for Barack Obama in 2012. You have to inspire the 6% less people aged 18 to 29 that didn't come out for Hillary Clinton in 2016 compared to Barack Obama. Well, if they're seeing right in front of them someone that's having their cake and eat it too and ranting about corruption and then playing footsie with Hillary Clinton, I don't know if you're gonna really endear yourself to those people. So we'll see what happens. Now I have a story, another story, this one that's not being covered anywhere, and this is where, folks, the election is being rigged as we speak. It's not a conspiracy theory, and it's being honestly, to me, besides the media, which has been rigging this thing from the start, where it's being rigged the most is right where I'm sitting, New York. For those of you that have been following my reporting over the last week or so, there's a lot going on, and the governor of New York, who is a very, very big ally of Joe Biden, is basically trying to rig the election to help Joe Biden. Whether he's dragged, his lifeless body is dragged, because frankly, he shouldn't be running for president. As I've been saying, frankly, there's something off with this guy. There's something not going well cognitively. And to me, reporters are irresponsible to keep calling these gaffes. When somebody's forgetting President Obama's name, not a gaffe. When somebody's forgetting cities that just had 2 mass shootings in 24 hours, not a gaffe. When somebody is stuttering through sentences and can't remember where he is, not gaffes. This is somebody in cognitive decline. So, I want to remind you, if you don't know what's going on here. Oh, before I do, we got 520 people watching, so good opportunity. One more time. For those of you who don't like me asking for money, you could go somewhere else. If I don't ask for it, who's going to ask for it? I want to hit 70,000 before we're done. So here's the link one more time. Just so you know, the stories we want to go cover next in the field, in addition to cover the Bernie campaign and the Tulsi campaign on the road, we also want to go cover Biden. We also want to cover Warren. I'm going to get back in the field myself pretty soon. And when we cover Biden and Warren, it's not going to be softball. We're not here to play softball with those folks. So your donations into the GoFundMe are so we can get back in the field. I also want to go cover the Keystone XL Pipeline, which to me looks like it could be the next Standing Rock. For those of you that don't know, it's been back and forth in the courts for years. It has now been given the green light. Construction is set to begin at the end of this year. Usually they just totally blow that away and start construction whenever they want. Unlike the Dakota Access Pipeline, which once the media finally paid it, well, the media never really paid attention to it in full, but once more attention happened and once more people were down there, it was kind of already too late because construction had already been done. 50% of the construction was already done. So I want to get out there before construction starts to start getting attention on this pipeline, which is just as dangerous as the Dakota Access Pipeline. It crosses just as many water sources. It's affecting 3 Native American tribes, Montana, South Dakota, and Nebraska, and it should be stopped. So I would love to get out there in the field, interview Native Americans affected, interview community members in those areas affected, interview environmentalists. We need the money to do it. GoFundMe if you can. So this morning, I spoke with Assemblyman Ron Kim of New York. He is a local assemblyman in New York, and I spoke with him because if you don't know, and just because this is happening in New York, trust me, it affects all of you. If you support Bernie Sanders, if you support and don't want this election rigged like 2016, pay attention. So, if you don't know, New York has the most archaic and suppressive voter registration laws in America. It ranks 50 out of 50 as far as how early you need to register if you're not a Democrat, how early you need to register to become a Democrat. So if you currently are registered in New York as Green Party, if you currently are registered in New York as Working Families Party, if you're registered as, an independent, whatever, you have till October 11th to switch over and register as a Democrat. Now, since 2016, when attention was on New York, you had 200,000 people were purged off the voter rolls, and the majority of people that wanted to vote for, not the majority, but a lot of people that wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders, you're talking about thousands of people, found out when they went on election day that they didn't register in time, meaning 6 months before the primary. The primary is in April. October was the deadline to switch to becoming a Democrat. So obviously, the deadline being so early is meant to suppress the vote, because if more people that are independents or Green Party or whatever are given more time to register, who's gonna do better? You think the Green Party people? You think the independents? You think Working Families Party are gonna go vote for Joe Biden? No. Or Kamala Harris? No. So, because of this, the New York State Assembly, which is the House in New York, and the New York State Senate passed a bill in June to move that egregious, undemocratic deadline from October 11th to February 14th. Frankly, I think February 14th is still too early, but it's a lot better than October 11th. The bill passed in June. 3 months later, it continues to sit. It has not been signed by Governor Cuomo. He has also threatened to veto it. Governor Cuomo has endorsed Joe Biden. Governor Cuomo has opened his fundraising network to union guy and middle class Joe. What a shock. Governor Cuomo is not a friend of progressives. Governor Cuomo, if Hillary Clinton didn't run or Joe Biden didn't run, would have ran for president himself. So I have reached out to Governor Cuomo's office several times asking, are you waiting for a bus? The bill has been signed by the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate to move this egregious deadline to February. Why does this matter? Because in terms of pledged delegates up for grabs, New York, according to the New York Times, New York is number 3 out of all the states in the amount of pledged delegates up for grabs. So if Bernie doesn't do well here, or if Joe Biden does well, it will play a big part in who has the most pledged delegates going into the convention. So California has the most pledged delegates because it's the biggest state. I think they have 400 something delegates up for grabs. Texas is next with 228, and New York is next with 224. So Texas and New York are pretty much the same. Only a few delegates separate them. So if the deadline is in October, which the majority of people do not know, you're going to have way less people that might vote for someone like Bernie Sanders able to vote. Well, isn't that a problem if you want to have a free and fair election? Isn't that a problem if we're a democracy? Don't you want as many people to vote as possible? And thank you very much, Jeffrey. We got $20 from Jeffrey. We are now $149 away. $149 away from hitting that $70,000 mark. Oh my Lord, what I would do if we could hit that 70,000 mark right here on the live stream. We got 500 people watching. I think there's enough people that could leave $5 to get us to 70,000. It would mean a lot, folks. It would mean a lot. $70,000 raised in a year, and as I always say, it's really 9 months we've raised it, because for 3 months we couldn't go live for 3 months, thanks to YouTube and their fucking us, blocking us from going live for 3 months. So we've really raised almost 70,000 in just 9 months. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep it coming if you can. We'd love to hit that today. So I spoke with New York Assemblyman Ron Kim this morning, who is a progressive. He supports Bernie Sanders, about what is the holdup and why isn't this a bigger outcry in New York? Why aren't there more people in the streets? The bill has passed. We're talking 33 days till the deadline to register. By the way, that's the number to Andrew Cuomo's office. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just providing the information. 33 days left for people in New York, if they're not Democrats, to register as a Democrat, even though the guy in the center has a bill sitting on his desk that would move it back to February 14th that has been passed. So I'm trying to speak with more people because this is scandalous. This isn't like it's still being debated. It's already passed. This is, in this case, one of the most powerful governors in America throwing his whole body on the scale to protect middle-class Joe. Here is part of my conversation. The interview's longer, but here's just a short clip of my interview with Assemblyman Kim on this outrageous act, or not acting, by Governor Cuomo. Here we go.
No, you're right. It's October 11 as it stands is the deadline. He still hasn't signed the bill. And we came together and passed this legislation based on the last few years and the last presidential election cycle, where thousands of people felt like their voices weren't heard because of this outdated deadlines and our outdated voting registration system. So we've not only this, but we looked at a number of different ways to improve that. And instead of embracing every one of those bills like he's been stalling and not moving, and instead what he's doing is going around and and talking about consolidating the elections and totally trying to change and own a different narrative, knowing that we're out of session, and knowing that like this has nothing to do with the bills that we passed. And I think, the reality is like we have a governor who's endorsed, who's favoring another candidate for president, and I think him and people who are aligned with them are doing whatever they can to favor the outcome toward that candidate, which happens to be in this case Joe Biden, and that's wrong. We have to be first and foremost, no matter what your party line is, we have to protect our democracy. And even if one voter feels like their vote is not being counted, we're doing something wrong in this state. Right,
because basically, most people know this, but for those who don't, New York is a closed primary, so you have to be a Democrat to vote. So this bill that passed would allow, if you're currently Working Families Party, Green Party, Republican, Independent, whatever, you have more time. I believe it got moved to February of next year. And that makes more sense because most people start tuning in, around the time of the Iowa caucus, New Hampshire primary. So that was actually my question to you, but it seems clear to me. I mean, Biden, some of the other establishment candidates are going to do better among registered Democrats, whereas people like Bernie Sanders tend to do better among independents and also first-time voters. Has the governor said anything on why he hasn't signed this yet? And obviously, reports show he's opened up his fundraiser network to Biden.
Right. I mean, I don't think he'll ever admit to that, that he's doing this to support his favorite candidate for the White House. But the facts are the facts. I mean, you pointed out, a person like Bernie Sanders does exceptionally well among younger voters, and some of those voters, just like 4 years ago, they often wait thinking that they can vote. They don't even realize that New York State is structured this way. They think they can just come. I vote. Why wouldn't someone not allow me to vote? So they show up on election day, and they realize that you can't vote on this primary, which was what happened 4 years ago. So knowing what we know from 4 years ago, we are addressing those problems, and we're trying. In the legislative body, we fix those problems by putting these bills forward. And instead of embracing and improving our democratic process, he's just coming up with other possible solutions to problems that we've never even discussed.
And are you seeing in the Assembly or the State Senate any? I don't really see much in the media. A couple articles here and there. Is there any drumbeat here to be like, hey, the deadline is now in 30 days. The bill passed. What are you doing here? Sign the bill.
Yeah, I think we're finally getting to that point because we have volunteers and canvassers starting to go out, and they're confused because they don't know what to tell the people who are talking. Actually, it's the voters are saying, wait, do we have to October? I thought that there's a new bill passed. So we're getting the feedbacks from the ground, which is alerting the elected officials. So I think we're finally now waking up to this, and hopefully my colleagues will join me in calling out the governor in the next few days, next couple of weeks, to push him to sign this bill. It is such a simple and direct bill. Whatever his agenda is for consolidating the primary elections next year, that has nothing to do with extending and giving ample time for people to register to vote. This is something that's such a bedrock principle of our democracy, and for him to stall and possibly not do this or veto this would be a direct sign that he is not interested in improving our democratic process, and it's more about politicizing the process for his own personal gain.
And also, not that
stall and possibly.
So that was Assemblyman Ron Kim. The full interview will be up tomorrow. We'll have the graphic behind me, so it's not a green screen, but I wanted to show you some of it today. I think that what Assemblyman Kim is saying is basically like Governor Cuomo should not be tilting the playing fields for his candidate when the legislature there's checks and balances. The bill has been passed. If he's not going to sign it, he needs to give a legitimate reason why he's not going to sign it. Governors, you can't claim you're progressive. Obviously, Cuomo's not a progressive, but you cannot claim to be a progressive or, care about democracy if you're basically playing God with the will of the Assembly and the State Senate, who, by the way, the people you represent, the governor represents, voted for these people. So they voted for the State Senate and the State Assemblymen. Well, the State Assembly and the State Senate voted to move New York State's suppressive, undemocratic, ridiculous deadline of 6 months before the actual primary to register as a Democrat to February. And this governor is sitting on his ass, probably giggling, to try and help Joe Biden. And let's be real, that's who this helps. Joe Biden and establishment candidates benefit when as few people are eligible to vote as possible, because then you're disenfranchising independents, you're disenfranchising young people. I don't know many people that in New York or anywhere that are aware the deadline to register to become a Democrat for the April primary is 33 days from now. I don't know anyone that pays attention that early. I also don't know anyone I don't know many people. I mean, obviously you do because you're watching. Not everyone is so into politics that they are even paying attention to the primary right now. A lot of people aren't. Most people aren't. So not only do they not know when the deadline to register is, they probably aren't even paying attention to all the candidates. So it's absurd. It's absurd. And I put the number in there because, frankly, this governor cannot be allowed to just sit on his behind with no pressure on him. So, and again, this is not only about the state of New York. Again, if you want someone like Bernie Sanders to be able to compete, if you want someone like Bernie Sanders to win the nomination, New York has the third largest amount of delegates, pledged delegates, up for grabs. So if this deadline remains in place for October 11th to register as a Democrat, I'm telling you straight up, sorry, I'm just going to keep it real, he's not going to do so well. He's not going to do well in New York. So 33 days, we'll update that graphic every day that the bill is not signed. So tomorrow will be 32 days, and we're going to stay on this story. And I'm working, I'm building up my sources. So, I focus more on national politics, so I don't have like a ton of sources in New York. But I'm trying to make some sources in New York to see, is anyone going to speak up against this? Is anyone going to speak up against this undemocratic, frankly, bullshit? As I turn to something very democratic, thank you, Samantha Gibson, $50 in the GoFundMe. David Kotecki, $5. Jeffrey Barker, $20. Kathleen, $5. We are now $91. Oh my Lord, $91 away. $91 away from $70,000 raised. Oh my Lord. Wait, did I get that wrong? Oh, see, Colin, you could do math and I can't. $89. $89 away. And I think Jen is running a fever. She's not working today. She's sick. I know that the best medicine that would make Jen feel a lot better is if we hit $70,000. So if you're not going to do it for me, do it for Jen. She's wonderful. So I'll stay on this story. Frankly, I don't know why no one else is reporting on this. You want to talk about rigging? The primary is being rigged as we speak. The primary is being rigged by Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is BFF with Joe Biden, and literally in a speech once said Joe Biden is the political Santa Claus. So this is who is not signing the bill. Corruption, corruption, corruption. Speaking of corruption, Rahm Emanuel. Kevin Bransky, wow, this guy is a tool. Please waste more money on this guy. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for the nice comment. Rahm Emanuel, who was Barack Obama's chief of staff. Rahm Emanuel, who was the mayor of Chicago for many years, who basically helped cover up the fact that one of his police officers shot a 17-year-old black kid 16 times and covered it up so he could win re-election. Rahm Emanuel, who, while mayor of Chicago, Poverty went up. The most amount of people ever in Chicago's history fled Chicago. You had him gentrify the whole place and make it beautiful for the wealthy and upper middle class, that downtown region that he sunk money into while he left the rest of Chicago to rot. Tangent. So how do we fight that, Jordan? Got any ideals? Listen, I'm a journalist, so I'm not going to tell you what to do, but honestly, if you're in New York, I think people need to be protesting in Albany outside the governor's mansion. I think people need to be protesting outside the media. This needs to get more media attention and pressure. He's not going to sign it with no pressure. So if you're in New York or you live in driving distance of New York, activists and organizers should be outside the governor's mansion, should be outside the Capitol in Albany, because that's the only way the media are going to pay attention to it. He is willfully choosing not to sign a bill that has been passed. There's no reason. He hasn't given a legitimate reason not to sign it. So if it were me, I would be protesting. I would be calling him at his office, not once, not twice, often. Make them uncomfortable, make them annoyed. That's what I would be doing. And frankly, yes, groups like Justice Democrats and voting ethics and voting integrity groups should be on him, because what he's doing is undemocratic and it's rigging the primary for his preferred candidate. So Rahm Emanuel went on a Sunday show yesterday and said this.
The radical left smeared Judge Kavanaugh.
They tried to ruin his life, all in pursuit of political
Sorry, an ad's gonna play.
and control.
Their coordinated attacks failed. Now the same radicals want to pack the court. They've built a secret list of judges that they won't show anyone, keeping Americans in the dark. Running for president with a list of secret court picks. What are they hiding? Tell Joe Biden Trump released his list. Why won't you?
That's separate from the question, are those ideas that she's putting out there, are they taking the Democrats?
Measures up is healthcare is a single issue that Democrats have a 35-point advantage on. President Trump is trying to do everything.
Yeah, but when we're out of power, that happens all the time, too.
The risk you said, which is appropriate and it measures up, is healthcare is a single issue that Democrats have a 35-point advantage on. President Trump is trying to do everything he can to narrow that down. We've taken a position so far, and the candidates have, through the process, a few have not, on basically Medicare for all, which is we're going to eliminate 150 million people's health care, and we're going to provide health care for people that just come over the border. That is an untenable position for the general election. As you know, George, I just biked around Lake Michigan, nearly 1,000 miles, through Michigan and Wisconsin. Around Lake Michigan, nearly 1,000 miles, through Michigan and Wisconsin.
So I don't know why that wouldn't play. Had some buffering issues, not sure why that wouldn't play, but you get the point. Rahm Emanuel with the ridiculous corporate talking points that somehow this is an untenable position for the Democratic primary and you will lose in the general election running on Medicare for all, and that somehow he rode a bike around Wisconsin and Michigan, and at the diners, people weren't coming up to him, telling him, I want to keep my private health insurance. First of all, who the hell would go up to Rahm Emanuel at a diner anyway? Would you? To say something nice? Secondly, why would people just randomly go up to Rahm Emanuel at a diner and talk to him about health care? Why? The anecdote that he used makes no sense. Nobody cares about Rahm Emanuel enough to go up to him and give them their thoughts on the healthcare debate. And thank you, David, $5 in the GoFundMe. Now just $84 away from hitting that $70,000. Keep it coming if you can. I'd love to raise another $84 in the GoFundMe. So, you know, it's so untenable. And of course, George Stephanopoulos, another idiot anchor who's not a real journalist, just, you know, left out like just the minor details that, Democrats more likely to support a candidate who backs Medicare for all over fixing Obamacare. As the Democratic presidential field continues to grapple with plans to address health care, a significant majority of Democratic voters are more likely to back a 2020 primary candidate who supports Medicare for all than building on the Affordable Care Act, a new poll found. According to Politico Morning Consult, 65% of Democratic primary voters would more likely support a candidate who wants to institute a single-payer healthcare system like Medicare for all. 13% said they'd be less likely to back a candidate based on that support. By the way, this is just one poll. There's plenty of other polls that show the majority of Democrats, the majority of independents, and the majority even of Republicans support Medicare for all. And the polls where it doesn't do well, the wording makes it sound like tyranny, like would you support your health insurance be taken away? And they count that as people not being for Medicare for all. So this bullshit, this lie, it's a lie. It's propaganda from Rahm Emanuel that the majority it's untenable. The people don't want this. It's just not true. And of course, ABC doesn't point this out because it's not in their interest to point it out. Their parent company, ABC's parent company, they don't want a single-payer healthcare system. The people that are behind corporate media are with Wall Street. And Wall Street loves the health insurance industry because they're invested in the health insurance industry. That's why this Medicare for all discussion never has the actual numbers or facts. They just put negative numbers that are usually cherry-picked, and they leave out the overwhelming majority of polls that favor a government-run healthcare system. And the interesting thing to me, he's also saying, and Jake Tapper, Bernie Sanders, kind of slapped Jake Tapper around in the last debate, saying, Jake, you're using a Republican talking point, saying, 150 million people have their health care taken away. The system, first of all, Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan, which a lot of people think this is too much, is phased in over 4 years. It's the first year, it goes down to people 55. Next year, 45. Next year, 35. Next year, everybody remaining. Whose health care is going to be taken away? Nobody's. You would have to wait. If you have private health insurance and you are those ages, those younger ages, you would have to wait your turn, basically. But nobody is going to have a period where they have no health insurance when the private health insurance industry would be greatly, greatly diminished and borderline eliminated under Bernie Sanders. Nobody's going to say like, you'll have to wait 3 months, so you're not going to have health insurance for 3 months between when your private plan ends and when you get your government health care plan. Nobody, Rahm Emanuel, none of them have actually proven that you're going to have to wait or you're going to be without health care because it's not true. Because it's not true. And this is what Republicans do, and this is what Fox News do. They try to scare the living hell out of people and scare them into submission of the status quo. Scare them into submission for the status quo. And if you want to hear about Rahm Emanuel, for those of you new subscribers who never saw my reporting last summer, not this past summer, the summer before in Chicago, here's what Chicago activists think of Rahm Emanuel. If you think you should be trusting Rahm Emanuel, if you're a voter watching and trusting him that your health care is going to be taken away, let's take a look at what activists that I spoke with on the ground in Chicago, thanks to you and your GoFundMe contributions. That's how we were able to afford going to Chicago last August. Let's see what they say about Rahm Emanuel when he was mayor of Chicago.
We don't see nothing from this mayoral administration. We haven't been seeing anything for the past 7 years, and I don't think we'll see anything in the near future. Rahm politics is not for African American poor people. That's not his focus. That never has been his focus, never will be his focus. And I think that's something that your viewers need to know, and we're adamant about. Rahm Emanuel does not care about poor black people in this city. And I think that his emphasis is to just focus on downtown and communities like that, Lakeview, Ravenswood, Edgewater, communities that are not suffering from poor schools. You know what I mean? I live in South Shore, and not only do we have poor schools there, but I've been in the food desert for 5 years. Not just me, but the 40,000 populace in my neighborhood. You understand? And he has him or the city council has just no motivation to try to get us out of these situations that we're living in. And it's not just police. It's just the livelihood of black people in this city is horrible, just period. From police, you could talk about the public housing authority here, the CHA. It's over 100,000 people on the waiting list. The surplus is somewhere in the hundreds of millions, right? But we have one of the biggest housing crises in the nation. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many different issues that we could focus on. The education system. We're going on our third or fourth superintendent or CEO of the Chicago. You know, 2 had to step down. 1 was indicted for federal corruption charges. The other one just had to step down because the inspector general said it was ethical violation. But each one was appointed by Rahm. You know what I'm saying? Each one was appointed by the mayor. So that just lets you know what type of leadership that we under this executive administration for the mayor. But we have to organize. It is some great leaders that are rising up, that want to try to throw their hat in the ring politically and make some noise. So we trying.
Yeah. So Rahm Emanuel's the guy. He's who we should be listening to about how to provide health care for people. He's who we should be listening to. Give me a break. Rahm Emanuel, if we had a sane media system, if our media represented the people, Rahm Emanuel would be in a witness protection program politically. He destroyed Chicago. Well, not just him, plenty of people before him. He made Chicago more gentrified than just about any other city in America. Rahm Emanuel and mayors like him and senators like him and congresspeople like him and governors like him are Republicans in sheep's clothing. They are not progressive. They are not Democrats. They're Democrats in the Democratic Leadership Council mold, but they're not Democrats. They're Republican lights, and I don't want to hear Rahm Emanuel on national television pushing propaganda for the private health insurance industry. And of course, no coincidence, when he left the mayor's office earlier this year, he now is working on Wall Street. Rahm Emanuel, hired by Wall Street. Rahm Emanuel takes job with campaign donors' Wall Street firm. I mean, the stories just write themselves. Rahm Emanuel, fresh off an 8-year, 2-term run as Chicago mayor, is joining a Wall Street investment banking firm and opening a Chicago office as a senior counselor for the company. No wonder. No wonder. I think what Rahm Emanuel meant, I think what he meant was Medicare for all would be untenable for the Wall Street investors that I represent. I think what he meant is a universal health care program would be very, very untenable for the people that I have dinner with, that I go to cocktail parties with, that I smoke cigars in back rooms with. I think that's what he meant. And I don't smoke cigars, but I'm ready to pop some bubbly because we have some news, folks. We have some news. We have just passed $70,000 raised. Thank you, thank you, thank you. $84, Samantha Gibson. $100, Deborah Hendler. $42, Corey Savignano. $100, Josh Margulies. I can't believe it. I was going to be happy with 70,000, but you guys pushed us even further than that. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my little heart. And I know Jen, who's sick today, is going to, when she wakes up, feel a lot better. We are now less than $15,000 away from our goal. And to tell you the truth, man, straight up, I'm just going to tell you straight up, we are fighting an uphill battle at Status Coup because we don't have the money. I mean, it is, for example, like, I love Jimmy Dore. I love Kyle from Secular Talk. I love Mike from the Humanist Report, Jamal Thomas, all these people. But the truth is, we have a little bit different financial needs because what we do is going in the field. And it's not to knock what they do, because there's definitely a need for, smart commentary is just as valuable. So, but in the field reporting, like an average trip costs $2,000 to $3,000, and if you don't start if you don't start from the ground from jump with massive, like an investor or funding, then you're kind of just making it up as you go along and just like hoping you get the money. So with us, we are growing. We're almost at 63,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're at 700 paid members. That's 700 monthly paying members. We want to grow that too. That's why we try not to push both at once, because it's a lot to push membership and GoFundMe. So we were focusing on membership. We've kind of pivoted to get back to GoFundMe to get some more money on now. And our strategy is simple. Let's get the money we need now, which is the GoFundMe. And then when we go out into the field covering the stories no one is covering, then when we're in the field, that's when we start seeing the more bumps in membership. And that's where we see our audience grow even more, when we're in the field, because there's nobody covering the stories that we are going to go cover. So bottom line, like some of you, and I've seen the comments, some people don't like that we ask for money and stop asking for money. Well, if you have a better idea, because you can't really have it both ways, folks. I mean, I'm just being honest. We could bash the corporate media till we're blue in the face, but the only way that I know to do the in-the-field reporting that the corporate media is not doing is to have the money to do it. Unfortunately, I can't print money like the government does. So I wish I could. So, by the way, I put $15,000 to $20,000 of my own dwindling savings into this company because I believe in Status Coup. So I'd rather ask the audience to fund the reporting that they want to see. And obviously, GoFundMe is not our long-term strategy. It's not our long-term strategy. Our long-term strategy is Status Coup's membership program. StatusCou.com/join, become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. That's how we grow for the long term. And it is very liberating when you don't have to worry. And like, if I want to go cover something this week, the money's there. Right now, we have enough money to pay Jen. We have enough money to pay Colin. We have enough money to pay whoever we hire as a camera person. We're doing interviews now to find that new cameraman editor or camera woman editor, whoever we decide to hire. We don't have enough money to give like me a stable paycheck, but that will come. But we want to keep growing so we could hire. The goal is to hire another reporter full time. We want to hire another person for marketing and business development and social media, so we can move Jen a little bit more over towards reporting and research and breaking stories. We need to hire more editors, more producers. We need to hire a lot of things. So that's why I really, really appreciate every single donation, even people that only could donate $5. It just makes a big difference. I also appreciate it because it's not easy to keep urgency. It's not easy to keep the urgency in mind for a GoFundMe we started a year ago. But it's remarkable that we've raised $70,000, over $70,000, and I think we're going to hit that $85,000 by the end of the year. I really do. And I also think we're going to hit 1,000 members by the end of the year. So if you say to me, Jordan, what do you want? I could do one. Sign up as a member, because that's how we grow for the long term. If you could do both, God bless you. And I'll just tell you before I end, some of the stories we want to cover in the field. I want to go cover Keystone, which I explained earlier. We might send Marcus out to cover a story on Navajo Nation, which has their own water problem. I'm definitely going back to Flint. By the way, if you are a Status Coup member or a patron, definitely check out the video I just uploaded for our patrons and members. If you're a member, go to statuscoup.com, click on member content. I just uploaded a video for our members and patrons giving an update on Flushing Flint, our documentary, which we are now, well, I don't want to tell you because I told members, but good news on that front. Very good news on the documentary front. I'm also working in the behind the scenes on another story that's pretty big regarding Flint, so stay tuned for that. We also want to go cover, obviously, the 2020 campaign. So that includes Bernie on the campaign trail. That includes Tulsi. I'd like to go cover Biden and challenge his voters. I think that's needed. Same thing with Warren. Same thing with Harris. Status Coup needs big money financing, but from honest actors, there are not many. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. And to keep it real for you, I'm not going to say who because it's not necessary. I don't think this person is a horrible person. We did get an offer a few months ago for a substantial amount of money, a couple $100,000, to finance Status Coup. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a human being. I thought about it. This person has given a lot of money to the Democratic Party. This person supported Hillary and stuff like that. To me, that was problematic, but wasn't the most problematic. To me, the person wouldn't sign stipulation that they would have no editorial control. So if you're not going to sign that, obviously you don't believe in my vision. You don't believe in our vision if you want editorial control. You're investing or funding us or donating or whatever because you already believe in our vision and you already like what we're doing and just want to make money off of it, right? Or want to help it grow and make money. So the fact that this person wouldn't sign that, also the fact that this person, to me, didn't share our values as far as the core problem of the country, which is corruption, money suffocating the system, the legalized bribery, the legalized auction. Because of that, I chose not to take the money. And it was not an easy decision. It's not easy to turn down several $100,000 that can really help you take off a lot quicker. But how was I going to have credibility of what I preach and what we cover if we took that money? So theoretically, if I would have, we'd have a lot more subscribers right now. We'd have a lot more members. We'd have probably broken more stories. No, it was not David Koch. But honestly, for the long term, I think it would have been toxic. I think it would have been toxic for the long term. And we're in this for the long term, baby. We're in this for the long term. My birthday is in 11 days. I'm turning 33, so I got more gas in the tank, or wind, if we want to change to renewable jargon. Frankly, we would have grown a lot faster if YouTube wasn't fucking us at every goddamn corner. Excuse my French. They are suppressing us. Nobody knows when we're live. Nobody knows when we post a video. That's why I tell you, put it in your phone. We are live, 5 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday, Sunday, noon Eastern. I won't be live this Sunday. It's Mama Chariton's 60th birthday, so I'll be with the family. No, the Young Turks did not. The Young Turks did not offer me any money. We're not particularly on speaking terms these days. But honestly, to me, maybe I'm naive and maybe it's just a utopian idea. I believe the money will come if you have integrity. I think the growth will come if you keep your integrity. It's very easy, whether you're in media or politics, to trade your principles to get ahead quicker. But usually that comes with a price long term. That comes with a price long term. And I'm not taking money from people, frankly, that don't bleed what I bleed or what Jen bleeds. So I believe there's a need for a status coup. I practice what I preach. We haven't raised, frankly, I ain't going to name names. There's some outlets there that continually ask their viewers to send in money for specific things. A lot of times those outlets don't actually deliver what they're asking money for. Read in between the lines. We have practiced what we've preached. We haven't just told you we're going to do something and not done it. Colin, I don't have it on me, but Colin made a map of everywhere we've been in just a year. We've been all over this fucking country. Detroit, Flint, Cleveland, Chicago, West Virginia, Dallas, Nevada, California, Seattle, Vancouver. I'm getting dizzy just thinking about it. We've been all over with a shoestring budget, and a lot of the money, I mean, we don't have $70,000 on hand. We have spent quite a lot of that money in the GoFundMe on in-the-field reporting. And by the GoFundMe money that funded a lot of that in-the-field reporting has helped us get to that 700 member number. So it's all connected, folks. All connected. In an ideal world, would I love to have somebody approach us and this person be a progressive and believe in what we believe and have integrity and get funding that way? Absolutely. If I could get that for my 33rd birthday, God, that would be great. But nothing righteous comes easy. Nothing righteous comes easier. And I don't regret not taking the money. Again, I don't really feel necessary to get into who it was, but it wasn't somebody that I could look in the mirror and be proud of. Let's put it that way. Jordan always low-key bashing TYT when he says he doesn't want to talk about it. LOL. That's kind of true, isn't it? I got to admit. I'm not bashing them. I'm just being honest that, status quo is who we are and they are who they are. Let's put it that way. I'm not bashing them. So, thank you for watching. Thank you to the people who got us over the hump of that GoFundMe. We got less than $15,000 to go. Again, consider becoming a member because membership is how we're going to fund this in-the-field reporting consistently. And frankly, if you don't have true independent media on the campaign trail, good luck getting the truth out there. Good luck countering the corporate propaganda you see at NBC, MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times. Good luck. Frankly, I don't see many independent outlets out on the campaign trail doing that much. Yeah, they're at debates, but are they out at rallies? Are they out speaking with voters? Like, are those bread and table issues? Are they in Flint? Are they covering Keystone yet? No. Are any of them covering the story I did on the New York primary being rigged? No. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us. And remember, most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no earthly idea what is going on. See you tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Peace out.